Have you ever thought about purchasing a property here in Hawaii? This video is going to be all about the step-by-step purchasing process here in Oahu Island. Hello guys, my name is Rose Jang here in Hawaii. I'm a full-time licensed real estate agent and I absolutely love helping and serving my clients find their property here in Hawaii. So the very first step is finding what your comfortable price point is. So yes, you could afford this much. However, what is something that you're comfortable with? You could be comfortable with this amount or you could be higher, right? So you want to make sure the pricing that you are comfortable paying for. Step number 2 is thinking about how the financing structure is going to be. So there will be 2 main ways that you could buy a property. If I were to just, give you very big, 2 points. One is 100% cash. The other one is getting a mortgage, right? So if it's a cash, what you want to do is you also want to make sure it's something that you can have an access to right away. Because in a lot of cases, especially in Hawaii, when you want to start looking for properties, some of the listing agents or some of the sellers might require the buyers to provide proof of funds. So proof of funds doesn't necessarily have to be like screenshot of your bank account. It could be a letter that's written by your financial advisor that buyer so-and-so has this amount or can buy a property ranging this, amount, right? So that would be the cash. What about for the mortgage? For the mortgage, that's where you want to speak with your loan officer, someone that, either you have worked before or if you need to find another one, I would love to help you find another loan officer as well. So you want to make sure to speak with the loan officer before you start looking for properties because they are the one who can tell you what your max amount is going to be, how much you'll be able to be pre-approved for, right? So there will be some documents that the lenders will require you to submit to them in order for them to determine the price, determine your buying power. So it could be something like 2 years worth of your tax return. It could be your pay stub. It could be your bank account, bank statement. It could be, of course, social security number to make sure to check your credit score or whatnot. So those would be something that you would want to start preparing before you start actually visiting properties and look for it. So that will be step 2. Finding out what your financing structure is going to be, whether it's going to be cash or whether if it's going to be mortgage. If it's cash, you need proof of funds. And if it's mortgage, you want to have the pre-approval letter, which is, one letter that will be prepared by the loan officer. Okay, step 3. Step 3 is the most exciting and fun part, which is house shopping. So once you have identified the price point that you're comfortable with, and you found what the financing structure is going to be, whether it's cash or mortgage, and once you have this proof of funds as well as pre-approval letter, now we can effectively and efficiently start looking for the property. So for me, as your realtor, I would love to ask you 500 questions and show you 5 properties that really fit those criteria that I gather from your, our consultation. Rather than I only ask you 5 questions and show you 500 properties. You'll be exhausted. It would be very, very not efficient at all. So in order to maximize, effectiveness and efficiency and time, I would love to ask you a lot of questions and if the buyer could share as much information as possible. So when it comes to Oahu, there are a lot of great neighborhoods to choose from, right? So you will have to do some study as to, okay, this is an area that will be perfect for me, or this would be area that would be perfect for me and my family. So you will have to, start thinking about what area that you want, and if it's going to be single family home, or if it's going to be condominium. So there are a lot of properties in this island, right? So we want to narrow it down, what fits your preferences, what you would like in your own home. So you will want to share those criteria, and then from there, I'll be doing a very thorough comparative market analysis and also see what are on the market that would fit your criteria. Some of the properties I will go there in advance just to make sure. And some of my clients that I'm working with currently, they are not in Oahu. So I do FaceTime all the time with them. So some of the properties I go and then we do FaceTime and also put an offer as well. So that's one of the cases for the closing that I recently did in Waikiki. My clients and I, we've never met in person. They found me on YouTube, and then they bought the Waikiki condo with me as well, which I also represented the seller as well. So let's say that we finished house shopping. We saw all the properties that are on the market that fit your criteria. Then what? That's when you say, you know what, Rose, let's put an offer. So you put an offer on the property that, of course you want to purchase, right? Let's say that, oh, Rose, the second property that we saw yesterday is the one that we want. Let's put an offer. Then I'll be preparing for the offer, which is also called purchase contract. Every state has a different regulations and law in real estate. Some of the states only have 5 pages when it comes to purchase contract. In Hawaii, it's 14 pages. So 14 pages of purchase contract, it will have, all the terms as well as timeline and purchase price and all that fun stuff, right? So we're going to determine the purchase price, right? So it could be exactly same as the listing price. So listing price is determined by the seller. Seller is like, okay, this is how much I want to list my property on the market. So now I, in this case, will be a buyer's agent. So I'll be doing some research and see if that listing price is fair or not, right? We'll do a lot of comparative analysis, and I will go over with you guys as well once we are in that process of putting an offer. So let's say that we put an offer, right? And then there are 3 ways that the seller could do. First one, accept the offer that we put right away, which would be the most clean, right? Second, they might reject it. They're like, no, you know what? This is too low, or whatever the case is. They're like, nope, we're not going to do it. Third one, they will counter offer to the offer that we submitted. So you counter off. So you as a buyer put an offer. Seller is going to counter. If the buyer accepts that, that will be the new terms that you're agreed upon. However, if there's some stuff that buyer wants to also counter, so you might go counter offer, right? And at the end, whatever that you guys have agreed upon with the seller, that will be the fully executed purchase contract. So we use FE a lot, fully executed PC, purchase contract. So fully executed purchase contract is something that you would need to lock the rate in the case of mortgage, right? To lock the rate that you are given, you need to have fully executed purchase contract, which means that at the bottom of each page, I told you there are 14 pages, right? There will be initials of both the buyers as well as the sellers. And there will be signature on the page 14th as well from both party. Then we said we have fully executed purchase contract, and then we're going to get into escrow. So whenever we say, oh, we are in escrow, that means the sellers and buyers have agreed upon the terms and timeline and then the price. So now we are really in that escrow period. Normally, escrow takes about, it really depends. It varies. It can take 21 days in the case of cash deal. For the mortgage, it will take approximately 30 to 45 days, which means that after the offer became fully executed, meaning it was agreed upon both parties, until the buyer becomes a new owner, when there's a change in the title, until then it's gonna take about 30 to 45 days in the case of mortgage financing. So during that 30 or 45 days or 21 days in the case of cash deal, there are lists of responsibility that the buyer needs to do, as well as lists of responsibility that the sellers have to do. I'm not going to go over every single one. However, I'm going to give you a very big picture. So for example, for sellers, we'll have to provide buyer with documents about their property that they're selling, such as seller's real property disclosure statement, SRPDS. So it's about 5 pages. That's where a seller is going to disclose anything and everything that they know about the property that they are selling. And they will also provide condo docs in the case of, condominium. Condo docs will state all the bylaws, all the regulations about the condo. It will also show how much reserve that they have as well. For buyers, the very important thing that you want to do is doing the home inspection. It's in section J. So among realtors, we say J1. So let's do J1. When is J1 due? That means until what date does the buyer have to conduct the home inspection? So buyer is going to hire the professional home inspector of their choice and then have them come in to do all the inspections. So home inspector is going to check literally everything from the bottom to the ceiling. They're going to see if there's any cracks, if there's a good water pressure. They're going to check the electrical panel to see if there is any overheat. They're going to check if all the lights come on. They're going to run one cycle of every appliance, like washer, dryer, dishwasher, and so on. So buyer will have to do that. So for example, today I had a home inspection at Pearl City. I'm representing my buyer currently in that transaction. It took about 4 to 5 hours because it's a very big, beautiful property that my client is purchasing. So it depends on the size. So buyer will pay accordingly, whatever the service charge that the home inspection charges. And then also, buyer is going to review the documents that the seller give, right? So SRPDS, seller's real property disclosure statement, condo docs, all the things. Buyer will have to review and approve it. Buyer will also have to do termite inspection as well. Normally, termite inspection is paid by the seller, but it depends as well, right? On the, depending on the market situation. If it's a seller's market, buyer might say, hey, you know what, seller, you don't have to pay, I will pay, or whatever the case is, right? So you want to do termite inspection, that's in section L. So section L is all about termite inspection, L2 specifically. So you want to hire pest control company to come in and just to see if there's any infestation or whatnot, right? So there are several things that you have to do within that escrow time frame. And let's say that everything is done, then it is a closing day. So closing is a favorite word by everyone, every party. Seller, buyer, real estate agent, everyone loves the closing. Closing means when it is officially recorded at the Bureau of Conveyance, which means that the sellers are going to receive the money, right? And the buyer became the new owner. And realtors made commission, money, right? That's how, we make money that's how we make living. So closing is our favorite day. I hope that you guys have a little bit of clearer understanding about the purchase process here in Hawaii, and I would really love to help you. If you have a property in Hawaii that you would love to sell, please reach out to me directly. I'll be your listing agent. And if you're thinking about buying a property here in Hawaii, thinking about moving here, I would also help you find your piece of paradise here in Hawaii as well. I hope you guys are having a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Aloha!